That's a step down. How do you go from Bernie Sanders to little old me? Like, I
No,
feel
that's
so
not
honored.
no, that's not a step down. That's two good people. I'm only in FaceTime and live with good people because tomorrow I'm off work. I'm taking the whole day off, and then the day after I get back in the studio.
Appreciate that. Appreciate that. So I'm proud of you. I mean,
I,
I'll definitely give you what this is. So during COVID, after I decided once again I was going to be an entrepreneur and I wasn't going to do what I did for anybody else, and
yeah,
kind of committed to that last year. Then COVID happened, shook some shit up. You know, Case had some health issues, so we had to process things, right?
yeah,
But organically, this opportunity, like I told you in August when we were there, it's just it literally is spiraling, and it's an opportunity for me to talk to the people. You got to have three people in your life, three types of people in your life. You got to have those who admire you and who look up to you. They feed you, right? They keep you going. You need your peers. You need your people who understand your struggle, who understand your timeline, and then you still need those you aspire to be. So you already know where you fit in. I mean, you're a little bit between the peer on like when we smoke, but it's amazing. I mean, and we met at a very similar time to
yeah.
now. Katrina had just happened. A part of my story I tell people is that when I got to the A, I saw black wealth. And although New Orleans had some good seeds, it was different. So I'm grateful that as a city we've gotten to a point to support each other, and we are there 100% now. You know, there's a lot of things that I'm doing now that are supporting a lot of black small entrepreneurs, small business owners and entrepreneurs
Absolutely,
who are either established or are being birthed right now. Like
absolutely.
it's a mix of both, you know. So I'm just trying to put the right people in the room. I'm trying to spread the word. I want people to know about you. I have my notes. This is crazy that like this today was crazy, okay?
For people who are going to see you, and you need to, people out there need to know that you were doing this before the cameras ever came on. That years ago, there was a guy, you was like, yo, you need to meet this guy. And I'm like, what are you talking about? Like, I already listened to his music. I'm a fan of his. You like, no, you need to meet him. Y'all remind me of one another and y'all determination, and y'all share a similar story. And that guy turned out to be one of my better musical homies, a partner, a player, and a friend. His name is Currency. And Currency is a genius in the way he's cultivated the community around his music, around cars and car culture, and how he proudly represents for the East Side of New Orleans. I'm not only a fan but a friend of his, and that wouldn't have been, if it not been for you. I remember getting some questions from my team like, you really placing a lot of importance on doing this cast, a podcast, a blog, whatever you want to call it, Aaron. Why? I said the same reason she introduced me and knew that me and Currency would benefit from a friendship with one another. I say because some people have the foresight to see who you are before the world acknowledges it. And I really appreciate you. So it's an honor for me to be sitting here with you as a peer because I have long viewed you as a leader and a person who should be responsible for the culture within the culture. So I'm very happy to be a part of this.
All right, I'm not gonna cry. Fuck. Crazy because Currency actually has a picture in here. You know, there's a lot of familiar faces that this photographer was able to capture. So this space is the real space right now. It's the fucking
Yeah.
vibe, man. Okay, wait till you see that. But so I guess where I am now is how did you get here? You are a household name now. Like these people know who you are, and they rapping your shit.
You know how I got here, I guess big I just didn't give up. I always wanted to be a rapper. At 9 years old, I wanted to be a rapper. Going back to the Currency connection, our self stories are similar that we both like lowriders, Hot Wheels, rapping. So I kept that 9 and 12-year-old in me alive. And I got a record deal in my early 20s from Outkast, of course. And it was at a time where kind of everybody who was on had a crew or a group to put on with them. So it was a strike of luck that I got a record deal based on my talent, but it was unlucky in that it was at a time where the public was kind of like, okay, we tired of everybody and their best friends, you know. So my my record came out 17 years ago, and it came out it came out, you know, number 10 on the Billboard charts. It quickly made Columbia money, and they quickly stopped marketing it after it made money. It was like, no reason to keep on doing this. Get back in and make another record. At that time, I wasn't pleased with my major label experience. I left. I went on a mixtape run called I Pledge Allegiance to the Grind. I met you during those times, and others. My man, formerly known as SL Jones, currently called Cuz Lightyear. He and I have been digging in for years. He and Cuz like fresh out of high school and just had a brilliant musical mind. But you know, I trudged through the mixtape market from Pledge 1, 2, and 3, and then rap music brought me together with LP, who's now my rap partner. He produced that entire effort. After that, we went on a tour, and after I came back to that tour, he had to do a mixtape. He had a mixtape due. It took him longer to write, and I was like, I'm just gonna fly to New York to do the tape with you. He was like, but I don't have any money or anything for you. I was like, you don't need the money. I'm just gonna come and we're gonna rap and we'll just tour afterwards. And after that first experience of making Run the Jewels 1, I just knew that God had prepared me for this moment. It took me 10 years essentially to become an overnight success. And I really am glad I was raised by a praying family and a praying woman and my grandmother and grandparents, because I really had to understand. I really leaned a lot of times on the story of Job, and just, you know, being patient and persevering, even when you suffering and you don't even understand why. You know, this not even my fault. Why I never let the whys turn into envy or hate or jealousy. I congratulate all those around me. So when it was my season, I collected my harvest. Yeah, I paid my dues and thanked the Lord, and I try to bless others in the same way. So I ended up here by God's grace and sheer hard work and grind, you know, to get rich independently was what we said we were doing with Grind Time. And that mentality has brought me through all the way.
So tell me, I guess, because you mentioned a little bit about Run the Jewels, but tell me about your new project, because we've been at home. Chris told me to tell you what's up.
Tell my bro I said what's up, man.
I sure will. But we've been riding to it a lot, and all the animation that's coming, that shit will be dope if y'all got that popping.
We're hoping for all our fans. Hit up Adult Swim and tell them they should do Yankee and the Brave, the animated series. We think they should. Something you, Chris.
But no, so tell us about the project. Shout out to L. Shout out to his wife. That was authentic too. Me seeing that happen and seeing that chemistry, and you know, you put me around different people and different opportunities. I was a baby. I was 19, 20, and we in the studio with Andre. Like that shit I'll never forget. He walked in and thought I was your little sister.
Yeah, he did. Thought so, you were Shonda.
You know, it's all good, but here we, you know, it's you got swag shop, you got the barbershops, you got, I mean, list go down the list for me.
Yeah, so as a rapper, man, I'm in one of my favorite rap groups, in the tradition of Tribe Called Quest, in the tradition of Outkast, in the tradition of UGK, 8Ball, MJG, EPMD. Rap always needs a good duo, you know what I mean? So whether it's Ray Shroomer, you know what I'm saying, or us, it's just, I think that rap, it's because rap essentially is it's a homeboy thing. It's like the kids who are in the rap before it took over the world, they were like skateboarders or BMXers. They were, you know, it was a niche. So I'm a big supporter of rap groups. And I always wanted to blow up. And you never know how God's going to send your blessing. As a solo artist, I was happy to be, but I had gotten plucked out of a rap group. So I missed the camaraderie of a rap group. So Elle and I Run the Jewels 4. This is our 4th installment together, but our 5th album together, if you include rap music. He's the perfect musical partner and counterbalance to me. Our strengths seem to make up for one another's flaws. And I'm very happy to be working with him, because the music that we make together is a force, and we have made this year what I feel is the album of the year. If you were to describe the ups and downs, the highs and lows, the peaks and valleys, that are America in 2020, if you listen to our album, there's some representation of that. There's some representation of the unrest that's going on in the streets. There's also representation of the hope that comes out of the mass organizing we're seeing, and it's a great way to, on an everyday basis, stay encouraged that we're fighting a good fight. So I know the Grammys are going to come up, and I know that I think November 24th possibly is the deadline, and they're going to announce who's nominated. I fully am going to say I expect us to be nominated. And if we're nominated for everything except album of the year, then maybe we've been robbed, because I think that not only do we have it sewn in the hip hop category, which we deserve, and we're proud to get the awards for hip hop. And I think that we can, I think we should, I think we will. Beyond that, I think we have truly created an album that should be in contention for and talks about and should be considered album of the year as well.
Absolutely. You have to be somewhat intelligent to keep up with you guys, communicate. And I mean, this is, you talked about the music y'all make, the experience of seeing you live. You guys perform so well together. Like,
thank you.
Those kinds of jumping. Y'all literally would be.
Yeah, on HBO Max for the next month, you can watch Ben & Jerry's Ice Cream sponsored Holy Kalama Vote. And that was, we only did one show this year. We turned down a lot of shows. We got offered up just under $500,000 come do a show. And we were just like, nah, we were, because we were concerned like everyone else about our health and our safety. And to be honest, ain't nobody wife letting them come out the house. You know what I'm saying? So we did this show. It was an amazing experience. It was an amazing, at one point in the show, doing a song called Walking in the Snow that talks about the dangers and horrors of letting the state abuse citizens. We stopped and I kept rapping a cappella. Well, that wasn't planned. It just happened. And it is one of the more powerful moments of any Run a Jewel show we've done. But the show is entertaining from start to finish. And we pride ourselves on our live show. So when the world does open back up, come check us out. But until then, check out HBO Max. Check us out, Adult Swim. Thank Jason and Jill over there. They did a hell of a job putting us up. So we're just happy to be a rap group that honestly kind of, my tour manager said one time, you guys are a rap group, but you really kind of move like a rock band. So our live shows are important to us and getting around and touching the audience. So I think we're going to hang around for another 20, 25 years and hopefully like AC/DC be old guys up there doing it.
That would be hilarious. I can already see it though. And we're going to still be rooting for you. Well,
all blacks, denim suits, just a lot more gray hair.
You probably can't smoke as much in 10, 20 years. You better
not. Not as much. By then they'll have like the safest possible smoking for old people in the old people's home retirement community. Me and Shane are gonna live it.
So I want to know. So I was so you also know one of the biggest relationships that I have is with Wild Wayne. And we always talk about what that looks like, but through working with him over the years, I've partnered with all kinds of people. I personally look forward to the mentorship opportunity that I'm exposed to every summer with these kids, because I not only learn from him, right, one of my 3 people that I aspire, one of those layers. I realize that there is a power in being present. You can do so much, texting and donating, but there's a power in presence. And I say that to segue into, I have an initiative with a rapper here that I work with through Wild Wayne's foundation called Steps for 5. And we are partnering with a few banks. It'll happen, but to give 100 youth free bank accounts and savings accounts through the credit.
I love that. I love that.
I told you a while back, we would talk about navigating this banking world and how important that is. And then boom, here comes Greenwood. So a lot of people right now are picking at me for questions, and that's probably one of them. So I would like to know, tell me about that. Tell me, because I'm not in Atlanta, and I'm still in line. I did that, and I will need to connect on the ground, because I do want to push whatever this is. But if you had on that Greenwood initiative, what would you say about that?
So often when we hear about our past as Black people in America, and Black people in particular that come out of the horrid legacy of slavery, that those of ours whose ancestors were brought here, particularly in the South, places like Georgia, Florida, Alabama, Mississippi, Louisiana, that were used as a cornerstone of the economy here. Um, Too often our story starts in a horrible place. And I think that people need to know that there have been some bright and shining moments, not only with our community, but the bigger community is better off because of it. So if you look at Greenwood, which was in Tulsa, Oklahoma, Greenwood was a community in Tulsa, and Greenwood was a successful Black community. Black doctors, Black lawyers, Black dentists, Black stores. The Black dollar turned 36 times in that neighborhood. Racism, evil, and bigotry caused a race genocide to happen. People were killed. Stores and family and order was destroyed. And I believe that not only did that hinder that particular community, it hindered the greater community, because you can't grow if you're always trying to hold somebody else down. And racism in the South in particular, poor white people have often held themselves down, attempting to hold Negroes down. You know what I mean? Whereas, if we collectively cooperated, we could all do better. Greenwood is not only exclusive to Black and brown people. It is open for anyone to start. It is going to radically change the way we bank. About 65% of Americans currently bank right from their cell phones. Whereas you have neighborhoods in poor and urban communities and worker class communities that are being gouged by check cashing places, liquor stores, things of that nature. Greenwood offers an alternative to those. Greenwood is a banking platform with ambitions of growing into a full-on lender, a full-on capital investor in terms of small and medium businesses. But it starts with each of us individually taking control of our individual finance through having a banking and checking account. You can do that through Greenwood. You can do that through many other Black banks too, from Citizens Trust to One United to Carver. But I encourage you to come to Greenwood because it puts it right there in your hand. It makes it accessible. When you do things like use your card for things, you can round up and make sure the extra money goes to the United Negro College Fund, NAACP, things of that nature. So in real time, your dollar is helping kids that look like your children, helping people that look like me and you. And I think that's important. And for people who want to help us, we are not charity cases. So you don't have to always say, oh man, something bad's happened. What's the first Black charity I can give something to? You can constantly be a participant in our economic independence. And that is how you support a community. You support a community through not only wanting to help or coming through and doing pickups and giveaways, but you support them by saying, I'm going to spend my dollar in that community's economy, and I'm going to turn that dollar enough times so that that community can build business, engage in trade and commerce fairly. And that is the truest form of support in a capitalistic society, is to take your dollar and spend with the people who need it the most.
I know I'm a small piece of that, your pie, and even the initiative that I'm doing here, but consistently I'm trying to empower people to figure that out.
What you're doing on the ground is most important, and that's what people have to realize. Bigger than any national campaign, even the one that with a educated rapper in front like me, the most important battery in the engine that keeps your local push forward going is you, and that's you and everyone around you. A lot of kids don't have the advantage that I had. My grandparents started our bank accounts when we were 5 and 6. Our grandparents bought us Coca-Cola and Delta stock. You know, we weren't rich, but our grandparents made sure that we understood the power of a dollar. What you're doing in those kids' lives, because we know a lot of children there are born to 70% unwed mothers. A lot of those mothers are young. And a lot of times you have to learn your lessons the hard way, taking your bumps and bruises. You're making sure those children get ahead of the curve by having a bank account and understanding the responsibility and accountability that comes with that. You're doing essentially the same thing my grandparents did for me, and that's imparting wisdom. And that's far more valuable than a lot of times even us singers and dancers saying this is the right thing to do. So on a local level, heroes like you are who we need more of.
Thank you. I appreciate it. What you doing? What happened to smoking?
Shay was coming in the door.
Tell her come see me. Hey, those little pictures of you with the dog are adorable. Like I'm probably for the family wall.
Yeah, Gigi's my buddy, man. That's my. She thinks she's a pit bull, but I think she's gonna mess around and get ate by a hawk or something. So we try to keep her under control.
So yeah, definitely. Please tell Shay before she leaves to come through. So you mentioned, you were just talking about the local initiatives that are happening, and
Yeah,
there's this phenomenal friend of mine. Her name is Dr. Ashanta Wyatt. And she is fighting the good fight. I actually spoke with her today,
yeah,
just to circle back because she was a part of the second episode of this, where we were just talking about what to do as it relates to education. She's now a professor, but she speaks to injustices. She has a foundation that helps with this rage of violence that we're in, and that will continue to be in. And that's also a really good segue to one of my clients that I work with on the business side. She's a Black psychiatrist. She's warning me about what's going to happen around holiday season, as far as our mental health,
yeah,
and that is going to do to our community. We lost a lot of people this year,
yeah,
and
yeah.
holidays usually bring it out of it. So I think there's two parts to this. Tell me how you feel about just mental health and men's mental health. How do we get men to talk
Oh,
about it as well? And then also, because this is going to be aired after the election, which is going to be interesting. We'll see how much, what this looks like on the 11th when we put it out there. But what would be your suggestion, no matter whom the president may be, for us to
well,
get ahead of the game?
first I want to tell Black folks that y'all have endured much work. And what I mean by that is you guys in my lifetime have lived under Ronald Reagan. You lived under former president, former head of the CIA and President George Bush one. You lived under the horrible drug laws that were passed under Reagan and Clinton. You lived under what I thought was 8 years if I thought more could have happened under Obama. You've just endured a lot. So I'd like to say to Black people that whether it was evil presidents from the past who endorsed and co-signed slavery, whether it was those that pretended to be your friend and weren't, like say a Kennedy who was a very liberal guy, but he wasn't going to sign the Voters' Rights Act, took a Dixiecrat, Lyndon Baines Johnson, to be leveraged into doing that. Our ancestors have prepared us to be tough during tough times. It doesn't mean you don't hurt or feel pain. So I want to acknowledge and admire people like Charlemagne the God and Shanti Das, who's a former record executive, but now deals specifically with mental health. So I want to tell people it's important. My mother was a manic depressive. She was also an artist. She was also an addict because a lot of times the mental drudgery of people who are creatives is bogged down with the horrors of the world. So I want to say I know the holidays are going to be hard. I know some days it's just hard getting out of bed, but I encourage people to seek therapy. I encourage people to check on people. Now at the end of my shows, when we talk about suicide and suicide prevention, I don't just say don't kill yourself. You're wrong. I encourage those that are strong or feel themselves strong to check on people. So as we go into the holiday seasons, check on those who've lost loved ones. Check on those that seem more introverted that are in the corners, that are not out in the open saying, well, this is what's wrong with me, or on the internet complaining about their problems. Check on people, because if nothing else, if we don't have wealth, if we don't have the organization we need now, what we do have and what we can have is one another's back and care and concern and empathy for one another. So I'm very pro people taking care of their own mental health, in terms of I don't judge or joke with people about it. I'm very pro people reaching out and helping those who they know in need of it. And I'm very pro as a community for us to start to encourage one another to seek therapy, to be okay with the fact that it's not, that everyone isn't okay, and that money doesn't solve everything. So a lot of times, you think, well, I feel bad because I'm poor. Our grandparents were poor too, but goddamn, a lot of them seemed a lot happier. And what was their mental focus in that they found true wealth in terms of the time spent with one another and the wisdom imparted with one another and younger people, versus the expectation of having things they may not have and falling deeper into depressive cycles and things of that nature. So I truly hope that as a community, we continue on our path to accepting that mental health is something we should care about. So whether it's G Herbo, with the PTSD album, or the younger brothers that are willing to say, hey man, this shit hurt, I'm gonna cry. I encourage us to keep doing it as a community, because we had to be tough for too long, and we not beast, and we shouldn't treat ourselves like beasts, and we shouldn't tell our boys don't cry, and we shouldn't tell our girls you got to do it all and bear the brunt of all the pain. It's okay for all of us to be weak, and it's okay for us as a community to acknowledge that and take care of one another.
Absolutely. Yeah, I definitely don't have a doctorate as either one of those women I spoke about, but once again, surrounding myself around the conversation and trying to learn, from top down, I may not be able to do certain things, but there are a lot of things that we can do to help, like you said, get ahead of the curve. And I will definitely
Absolutely.
show my children and those children who are part of my life how important it is to speak. I mean,
Absolutely.
even down to our parents, right? There was on episode 3 of this, before this, a good friend of mine, her name is Casey Ferran. She's a Black journalist down here in New Orleans. And we were just talking about generational power sometimes. We talk about, we talk about the gap and how, the struggle is. But sometimes you have people, like she mentioned, her grandparents were entrepreneurs, her parents were entrepreneurs and business owners. So she grew up with the perspective of, I do have this somewhat advantage, and my job is to share it. That is what I'm here
Absolutely.
for.
Absolutely. I'm opening a we refurbished our original swag shop. I have a niece that's worked for us the last 3 years in terms of she's worked right there in tow with our retail, with our barbers. She's going to lead that shop. So we're going to have, of course, your lead barber running the day-to-day barber operations, but in terms of the retail and the opening and closing of that shop, that's going to be a 24-year-old girl, 25-year-old girl, a young woman doing that work. And it's because she's been prepared and she's been groomed for that. And our family was a landowning family. They started as enslaved people. They went to sharecroppers. They eventually bought their own farm. That farm is still in that property is still in our family's ownership. And I believe that is terribly important, that whatever wisdom you have, you don't have to know it all, but whatever you know that works, impart that wisdom on someone else, impart that wisdom, because the only way we get strong as a community is each member of the fabric of the community individually strong. And that way, the thread that sews us together, this tapestry, this beautiful tapestry that goes all the way from the people that are mixed with Seminole Indians to Florida, to the Cajun people, to the Geechee people that my wife is from, all those people, that beautiful plethora of Black and brown people can truly be a tight tapestry because individually we've made sure each other is strong. So I'm with that. Whatever I can do to help the next Black person, to help the next person, I'm going to continue to do. And I encourage all of us to.
I'm on a panel for something next month, and she kept saying that. Don't laugh. She kept saying that I use the terminology, people were pouring into me at the end
Yes,
of our thing. You kept
absolutely.
saying pouring into you, and I feel like you, along with a lot of people who are going to be a part or who've been a part of this interview series, has poured into me one way or another.
Yeah,
These Black people I'm interviewing now are supporting me. We are pouring
absolutely.
into each other. So we
Absolutely.
have to just figure out how that works and be okay with it. I didn't plan
And,
any of this
yeah.
shit. Okay.
And people, and you have to empty your cup. That's something my man Bear always says, that, you have to empty your cup in order to receive. So there are a lot of things that I thought true 10 years ago that I've grown from and that are no longer that truth anymore. 10 years ago, I thought I got to do it all by myself. I got to show the world, cry until I can pull this off. And 10 years later, I'm no, you got to cooperate. You got to allow people to help you. You got to, I remember saying a tip one time, like, man, I was like, man, if I'd have known you would help such, such, such. And he said, looked at me and said, all you had to do was ask. So I was so in my mind state, like, I gotta show the world, you know what I mean, that I didn't even think to ask one of your best friends for some help. And that turned into him putting out Pledge, allowing Grand Hustle to be a part of, platform that Pledge 3 came out, and Pledge 3 landed us in Rolling Stone with the Ric Flair record, and which led to rap music and led me to here. And I'm just sitting, and I think of time, and God's timing is perfect. But with that said, I didn't have to be stubborn, because God's timing would have worked 4 years earlier if had I only asked my friend. So we have to empty our cups on a daily basis. We have to be willing to receive information and accreditation and encouragement from people, and you have to empty your cup to be poured into. You have to understand, I don't know it all. There are nuances that I don't understand, and I'm a student. Every room I go in, I try to remain a student always. You know what I mean? So, I encourage you to keep being as great and wonderful and as brilliant, as beautiful as you are, because whether you have a doctorate degree or not, you have helped more people connect. You have helped more people coming to the understanding that I can, I will, I must, than a lot of other people they see on a daily basis. So not only are you receiving you're pouring into other people. So my former art teacher, my current mentor, a man named Mr. Murray, who's a food activist. He teaches us to grow our own food and things of nature. He says, Negro. I say, yes, Mr. Murray. You ever realize, he said, someone said something to me. I said, what? He said, you ever realize people that's always giving away stuff never run out of stuff to give? And I thought, like, wow, all the old ladies that would make sure every child had some socks and shoes, all the old ladies that would make sure everybody, you know, in the we called extra fish. My grandmother made us clean the fish and give it to the other people in the community. You do never run out of stuff to give, because the world is always trying to find a way to give and help. And if you are already a giver and a helper, people are going to continue to pour into you. So thank you for what you do.
Thank you. I appreciate that. I guess that's what I'm doing. But I want people to know that, just like you said, and thank you for saying that you have to pour it out. And when I decided to start Reserved, it's really hard to sell a service. People, that's almost what you guys do sometimes. You sell feeling, you sell comfort, you sell this emotion, and sometimes you have to put that on paper. And it's crazy because during my thought process, at some point last year, Wayne said, how do you sell it? I hear what you're saying. I hear exactly what you want to do. You know, just like I told you in August, like I have this great idea to help all the small businesses in the world, and we come together and just do dope shit, you know, and pass it on to our kids. But I didn't know how to do it. So I guess this temperature check in this virtual interview series is a time for me to sit back and reflect and look and listen. This was all because I wanted to learn. This was never for anything else. I would have called you anyway during this time to pour into me. So I just want to be able to use the executive side of who I am, right? I'm used to being that Black girl around all the white people. I could turn that on anytime, but I would much rather help my people, right? You know, and discrimination, it's never really about race for us, but the world is making it about race. And so now it's okay to be intentionally there to support your Black people, to add that Black tag on things, and to be honest, we attract our own. So I would love to continue to do what I'm doing for my people. That's just what I plan to do for as long as I'm, you know, alive. So I think lastly we can end with I would love to know about the Billboard Change Makers Award. You know, tell me what that was and what that feels like. You have Billboard created a fucking award, and you got the first one.
Man, first of all, I just want to, I want to thank Billboard. There's a committee of Black folk over there, young and, and middle-aged and progressive and, pull the line, but they sat in the committee and they picked me first. A lot of times Black folks know, a lot of time the unsafe Negro don't get picked first, big, Black, dark skin, always rabble rousing, a lot of times I would have been third or fourth recipient. They would have went with somebody a little more quiet and beige. But I heard in particular, there was one sister. And I want to say, let's support the people on the ground in Nigeria right now, because I believe the sister's Nigerian, who fought very hard to say Killer Mike deserves this. He's an example of what the potential for entertainers is in a positive way in the community in terms of social change. And so I gotta appreciate that sister. And I gotta say right now, as people who belong to an African diaspora that started in West Africa and spread it throughout the world, that I'd like to say, let's make sure we're supporting the people on the ground in Nigeria. But, I think that, I'm overwhelmed, and I, like your husband, Chris, understand that you don't achieve great things alone, especially once you unite and eternally with a woman. And it gave me an opportunity to appreciate my wife, Shayna, because I'm not here without her. And I think that that's an important thing to acknowledge as a Black man, because I got here with a Black woman, and I got here because of and with Black people. And there is still strength in that. There will always be strength in that. And we will always represent that to the best of our ability. So it was important that not only I accept the award, but that my wife be there with me, because there is no Martin without Coretta. There is no Malcolm without Betty. And we are responsible as men to be providers and protectors, but oftentimes the stewards of what we provide and protect, that legacy, are our partners, our equally yoked partners. So I was very happy in that moment, not only to be receiving the inaugural award, to be receiving it with my wife, who without her, there is no Mike.
I was so happy. And Shay, you know, which was so dope in our relationship. And you mentioned about Chris, you mentioned about Shay. We met, and you know, it wasn't a group thing. I didn't know my husband yet, and you know,
Yeah.
what it was. And as life happened, and you know, when you guys started to become this empire, and I had fallen in love and had a baby and all of this.
Yeah.
We've been able to grow in our individual pockets. So I'm okay without you. Okay? Like, you know, like we've come to people. You've been in New Orleans before in the hotel room, and you wanted to come home, and we came to get shit. Come on.
That's true. That's true. Because I had to work. She get to eat and gamble. I have to sing and dance. Yeah.
That's what we here for. We had mapped out. I appreciate her for that. Even in all the shows and all of that, you know, that's who I'm with. When you on the stage, we back there vibing. But she's just as proud. I'm just as proud. I mean, this moment has come full circle in so many ways. Where is she before we go? Please let me see. And she was bomb as fuck.
Come here right quick.
That gold on like that. She just looked like a little trophy that night.
Come here right quick. She is my trophy. Come here, babe. Babe, all you gotta do is peek and say hello really quickly.
Hey, my girl. I'm good. Are you sleep or high?
She high. You already know.
That's why I was so happy to see her for the billboard. Seriously, you know. And Shay, you went back and reposted it, but it's an inspiration to us as well, because I know how much you do on the side, you know, and I know what that feels like. So it's just we're rooting for the both of y'all, straight up. I know she. Well, can she hear me now? You took the headphones off.
No, she can hear you. She got to do.
I'm giving you your roses, baby.
I appreciate them. Thank you.
Get your high ass on. No, give me my iPhone.
See you later.
But I appreciate that. What's crazy is I talked to your husband more than you, and we've been friends long with Chris, and I really bonded. And I just want to encourage people out there to, you know, if you're married or if you have a partner, to make sure you partner and you engage with other people on the same campaign. Because a lot of times you feel alone as a person, or you'll feel alone as a couple in the struggles and the crazy shit you go through. But it's good to know that other people have experienced them or are experiencing and have worked their way through them, because, you know, our community, the only thing that's going to truly save our community beyond money, businesses, education, is the love that we have for ourselves and the love that we engage in as a union and as a community. And you and Chris constantly are improving yourself, you know, whether it is physically, spiritually, or emotionally. You guys are constantly doing that. And the fact that you do gives example to even us and others. And I appreciate you guys for being leaders in that way, because it's work. And it's good to admit that it's work. And the work, if you're on the journey together, is a hell of a lot more fun together than it is alone.
Yes, it is. You're gonna like that part. I love you. Thank you.
I love you too. Love and respect, E. I'm very proud of you.
Thank you. I love you so much.